Alrighty guys, welcome back to Take 10. We're going to be doing Chapter 3 today, but first I'll just introduce myself as usual. So again, my name is Hale. I'm from Mishawaka, Indiana. I go to school at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana, and I love flowers, drawing, and dogs. Alright guys, so we are going to do our usual icebreaker with Sissy Girl here, and we'll get started. Okay, so the hat, just a reminder, this piece of paper is going to have a fun fact about Sissy, and then a question that you and I and a partner can answer. All right. So, Sissy likes to dance with my mom. Basically, they both just jump up and down, like when they're excited. My mom will usually start it, and she'll just be like, "Oh, Sissy girl," and she'll start jumping, and then Sissy kind of jumps with her. And it's super cute, so we all call it dancing. And then our question is, where is the coolest place you've ever been? Could be anywhere in the world, and it could be big or small. So I would say that the coolest place I've ever been is Berlin, Germany. So if you don't know what that is, it's another city in another country across the ocean. And it's a really cool place. There are lots of big old buildings, and in general it's a really big, pretty city. So definitely the coolest place for me. So what about you guys? Turn and tell a partner real quick. All right, well, we will get going and jump right back into the lesson then. Okay, so the ground rules. Always going to go over these. Like I said, when you practice Take 10, you need to use these rules plus the rules of whatever place you're currently in. So, if you're at school, you got to use those too. Number 1, everyone has the right to speak. Number 2, no one must speak. 3, everyone must listen. 4, no put downs and no name calling. 5, disagree on issues, but don't attack people. 6, agree to disagree. And then 7, keep a sense of humor at all times. All right. So last time I asked you to try and remember what values and principles and diversity are. So we're going to refresh right now before we get into our new lesson. Values, if you remember, are what we think is important and good in life. I can value honesty, kindness, bravery. Principles are our beliefs about right and wrong, and they're kind of like rules that we choose to live by, and they're based on our values. So if I value kindness, then one of my principles may be to always be kind to people no matter what. And then diversity. Diversity refers to being different from other people, and we should all value diversity and consider it important. Especially considering we may have different values from each other, and that is diversity, but that's okay. That's a good thing. We don't all have to have the same values, and we should value being different. All right, so hopefully you remembered those, and now we will jump into the new lesson. Today, we're talking about responding to conflict once again, but this time we're talking more about your attitude for responding to conflict rather than taking 10 as a response. We do want you to take 10, but that's kind of an action. Today we're talking about attitude. So, assertive is the first kind of attitude we're going to talk about. This is the best one. We really, really like this one. When you're assertive, you stand up for yourself and you're always being fair. So, try and think of what that might look like. There's a ton of examples, and I'll actually show you some, but just think, what would it look like to stand up for yourself while also being fair? Okay, the next one is aggressive. This is an attitude that you can have when responding to conflict. And that kind of refers to attacking a person or being mean. This is something that we really don't want. It's not a good response to conflict. I mean, this is exactly what Take 10 asks you not to do, right? We don't want you to use violence. We don't want you to attack people and hurt them either with words or maybe your own hands. So we're not a fan of aggressive. That would be, attacking someone. I'm sure you can think of tons of examples for that. And then finally, there's passive. This one's actually not great either, but it's a little bit harder to understand. When you're passive, it's like giving in to someone or being what you might call a pushover. It's kind of like giving them exactly what they want without standing up for yourself, but you're also not being aggressive back. It's like letting whatever happen to yourself. I'm sure you can understand why this isn't great. You don't want people to push you around or bully you. So try and think of an example real quick of what that might look like. Just letting somebody push you around, and maybe it's literally pushing you around. Take a second for that. Okay. Now we're actually going to get into some little video examples of what each of these mean, just to solidify and make sure that we understand what it means to be assertive, aggressive, and passive. Okay, so this is from the movie Tangled, which I love. I think this movie is so fun. And this is an example of passive. Now remember what passive means. It's like being a pushover, letting people do whatever they want. Okay.
Rapunzel, how you manage to do that every single day without fail. It looks absolutely exhausting, darling.
Oh, it's nothing.
Then I don't know why it takes so long. Oh, darling, I'm just teasing.
All right. So, Mother, as you know, tomorrow is a very big
Rapunzel,
day.
look in that mirror. You know what I see? I see a strong, confident, beautiful young lady. Oh, look, you're here too. I'm just teasing. Stop taking everything so seriously.
Okay, so hopefully you can see why Rapunzel was being passive, but we'll talk through it real quick. So her mom, at least on 2 occasions in that scene, she's kind of mean, right? She's like saying things that are a little bit harsh, and then she's like, I'm just kidding. I don't mean it. It's just a joke. But, it wasn't exactly a joke, or if it was a joke, it wasn't a very nice one. She was still being mean to Rapunzel. She was being hurtful, which is violence, actually. It's very aggressive of her. So, yeah, her mom's actually being aggressive. That's a good example. But what is Rapunzel doing? Kind of nothing, right? She's not really saying, anything aggressive back. She's not, like, yelling at her mom. But she's also not standing up for herself and saying, hey, please be a little bit nicer. I don't think that joke was funny. I don't like when you laugh at me. She wasn't doing either of those things. She wasn't doing anything. So she was being passive in response to the conflict that she was experiencing with her mom. Okay, and next one. In this one, we're going to watch an example of aggressive. You may have a better idea already of what aggressive looks like, but it doesn't hurt to show this example, especially since it shows different kinds of aggression. And I'll explain, but see if you can find different kinds of aggression. And again, this is from Tangled, different scene.
Who are you? And how did you find me?
Hi. How you doing? The name's Flynn Rider. Where is my satchel?
I've hidden it.
It's in that pot, isn't it?
You don't want my hair?
Why on earth would I want your hair?
What these are?
The lantern thing they do.
All right, so we don't need to go too far into this. So this is aggressive. It's actually Rapunzel's behavior again. She's being aggressive, but also her little lizard friend. So very first, we can start with the lizard friend. There's a scene where he's like hitting Flynn Rider with his tail and then sticking his tongue in his ear. Gross. That's pretty aggressive though, right? They're trying to make him uncomfortable and he's literally getting hit. So that's like physical aggression. You also see physical aggression, well, you hear it anyway, when there's like a clanging noise and it blacks out. And you're supposed to understand that Rapunzel hits him in the head with her pan. I mean, that's physical aggression too. But I would also say that there is a point where she's kind of threatening him, and she hasn't hit him yet, but she's just holding her pan and she's giving him a really mean look, and she's like trying to intimidate him and threaten him. I would say that's aggressive as well. Another form of aggression would be, you know, if she was insulting him. Didn't exactly see that, but, you know, she called him stupid or something. That is aggressive. It's just with your words instead of physical actions, or maybe the intimidation that she was doing before. Okay, so next one. Now we're going to watch an example of assertive. Remember what assertive is. It's like standing up for yourself and being fair. Because it is possible to stand up for yourself, but not exactly be fair. You could be really selfish or still kind of aggressive. We don't want that. We want standing up for yourself in a fair way. And this clip is from the movie Moana. Also, a really good movie.
Maui, out!
No! Stop! Hey! You have to put back the heart!
Did not see that coming.
I am Moana of Motunui. This is my canoe, and you will journey to different...
All right, get over it. We gotta move. And she's back.
I am Moana of Motunui.
It was Moana, right?
Yes, and you will restore the heart.
Okay, so again, hopefully you can see how this is assertive, but we'll talk about it. So even though Maui keeps throwing Moana into the water or pushing her or things like that, you know, trying to get away from her, he doesn't want to deal with the conflict. So he's just kind of pushing her away. But she keeps coming back because this is really important to her. I mean, it's important to everyone if you've seen the movie. And the water kind of helps her, the water spirit. And she keeps popping back up and repeating, you know, this is who I am. This is what I need from you. So that's being assertive, right? She's standing up for herself. Even though he keeps pushing her away, she keeps coming back and saying, listen, this is important and this is what I need. That's a really good example of being assertive. And notice that, you know, she doesn't give up, so she's not being passive. And she also doesn't get mad at him for throwing her in the water so many times. Like, she never hits him or, you know, calls him a mean name, which can be really hard. I personally hate being thrown in the water. But she did it, you know, she did a really good job of being assertive and fair. So hopefully that's pretty clear now what that looks like. Okay.
All right.
Now we're going to do a quick little turn and talk. So I want you to just find a partner somewhere in the room and take a minute or two to talk about this. Teachers, feel free to pause the video. So why is choosing to take 10 a fair and assertive thing to do when you're in conflict? I know this is a little bit hard. Don't worry, I will explain what I think is probably a good answer for this, but just you and a partner talk about this. Why is taking 10 the fair and assertive option? Okay. So hopefully you've had a second to pause and talk about it. I would like to say that I think taking 10 is fair and assertive because it's the best option for everybody. You know, standing up for yourself without using violence is fair to you because you have a better chance of getting what you need, right? You stand up for yourself, you're more likely to get what you need. That's fair to you. And not using aggression and being aggressive, so not being passive and letting somebody become a bully, that's fair to the other person because, you know, you're not hurting them and you're not letting them hurt you. I think that's fair to them as well, because then neither of you are doing anything that might make them feel bad later or that might make the conflict worse. So it's fair on both sides in that way. But also, as we've talked about, take 10 is just a really good way to solve conflicts. You're more likely to get a good solution. You know, if you are in a fight about something with your sibling and you hit them, you know, maybe that made you feel better for a minute, but you didn't really get a good solution out of it, right? Whatever the problem is probably still exists. But when you use take 10, you're more likely to be able to, you know, talk it out, walk it out, wait it out. But you're more likely to reach a good resolution. And that's fair to both of you because you both deserve a good resolution in conflict. So hopefully that makes sense. And just if you had a different answer, that does not mean it's wrong. I bet it was a really good answer. There's probably a lot of ways that take 10 can be fair and assertive. But the point is that we want to be fair and assertive, and we like take 10. Take 10 is a really good way to handle our conflicts. Okay, so now you guys are going to go into your take 10 journals and do this journal activity. It's an assertiveness comic strip. So if you don't know what a comic strip is, it's like in newspapers and sometimes online, and you draw inside the squares and write words, and it's supposed to tell a story as you read it from left to right. So these are the instructions. Fill in this comic with a very short comic strip story. The story must show an assertive person using one part of take 10 to solve a conflict. Your options are these: talk it out, walk it out, wait it out. We want you to use both pictures and words. Okay, I'm going to show you mine real quick, and then I will have you guys get started on this. Forgive me, I am not an artist, but I had a lot of fun doing this actually. So, in my very first panel, that's what these are called, are panels. It says coffee on the sign, and there's a little cash register, so you know that they're like in a coffee shop. And the person who's working there, she says, that'll be $2. And then the lady she's talking to in the next panel gets mad. And she's like, $2? That is way too much. So she's getting mad at the person who works at the store. But when you think about it, the person at the store doesn't really control the prices. You know, they just work there. So it's not really her fault, and the lady probably shouldn't get mad at her. So in the last panel, the lady who works there is thinking in her head, 10 deep breaths. I chose to use 10 deep breaths instead of like talk it out, walk it out, wait it out, but you can use those as well. You know, take 10 deep breaths, take 10 steps back, or take 10 seconds. You can also use those. I chose to. But anyway, she's thinking to herself, take 10 deep breaths, you know, so she doesn't get mad at this lady for getting mad at her for no reason. And then out loud, she says, would you like to cancel your order? So instead of saying, you know, you're a jerk, you shouldn't be mean to me for something I can't control, she takes 10 deep breaths, and then she says, would you like to cancel your order? And that's how we know that she handled it well. She stood up for herself, and she decided to calm down, and she didn't say anything mean. So, yeah, she decided to take 10, and by taking 10, she was being assertive. That's mine anyway, but you guys will be able to go in and fill in yours now. Real quick before we go though, I'm going to do your remember for next time. So what I want you to remember for next time, and I will refresh you on it at the beginning of the next video, is what it means to be assertive, aggressive, and passive. So remember, assertive is standing up for yourself and being fair. Aggressive kind of refers to attacking another person and being really mean. And then passive is giving in to someone or being a pushover, you know, letting them do whatever they want to you. And we want take 10 to be the assertive option. When you take 10, you're really doing what's fair for everyone. Okay, so try and remember that for next time, and we will refresh, I promise. Good luck with your comic strip activity. I'm sure that it's going to look super cool. And I will see you guys in our next video. Bye!